good morning class. Assalamualaikum. How are you doing today? I hope all my students are doing well. Right? Remember, if you are going out, please don't forget to wear your mask. Okay, because COVID is still here. Okay class, so for today's classes, we are going to learn grammar, which is active voice and passive voice. So, don't forget to jot down the notes and don't forget to copy the exercises. You may pause during the exercises if you want to do by yourself first. Alright? If you want to do together with me, you may proceed with the video. So, let us begin with the first slide. What is active voice and passive voice? Let us take a look at the definition. Active voice is the subjects perform the action, which is the statement is clear and direct. As we all know, in a sentences, we will have subject, verb, and object. Therefore, active voice is usually being used in everyone's daily speaking. Therefore, that is active voice, which is subject perform the action. Now, let us take a look at the example. He drinks 2 cups of coffee. The subject is he. The verb is drinks. And the object is 2 cups of coffee. Therefore, that is clear and direct. Next, passive voice. Passive voice means the action is performed on the subject, which is the subject receive the actions. Okay, so in passive voice, the object will become the subject and the subject will become the object. Take a look at the example below. 2 cups of coffee was drunk. Right, so the formula is to be plus past participle plus by. In this sentence, you may add on by her or you may not include by her. Right? So the example, 2 cups of coffee was drunk by me or 2 cups of coffee was drunk. To have more clear picture, let us take a look at the next examples. Active voice examples. Example 1. Monkeys adore bananas. The verb is adore. The subject is monkeys and the object is bananas. Number 2. The cashier counted the money. What is the verb? Yes, count is the verb. Therefore, the subject is the cashier and the object is the money. Number 3. The dog chased the squirrel. Thus, from the active voice example, we can see that the subject performed the action. Okay? For the active voice, the verb for number 1 is adore, number 2 is count, and number 3 is chase. Okay, so let us take a look at the passive voice examples. Number 1. Bananas are adored by monkeys. In the active voice, the bananas as an object. However, in a passive voice, the bananas become the subject and the monkeys become the object. Bananas are adored by monkeys. Number 2, the money was counted by the cashier. And last one, the squirrel was chased by the dog. For the passive voice, the formula is to be past participle plus by. Here are the slides on active voice into passive voice in tenses. Active voice. Anna bought a bag. Anna is a subject, the verb is bought, and object is a bag. However, to make the sentences become a passive voice, the object will become subject and the subject will become the agent. The verb will change the tenses, which is a bag was bought by Anna. Now, take a look at the tenses in the box below. First, present simple. I am called. Are you called? They aren't called. Past simple. I was called. Were you called? They weren't called. Present perfect simple. I have been called. Have you been called? They haven't been called. Number 4. Past perfect simple. I had been called. Had you been called? They hadn't been called. Number 5. Future will. I'll be called. Will you be called? They won't be called. And the last one is modal verbs. I can be called. Should you be called? And the last one, they must not be called. Next, verbs with two objects. Some verbs such as give, offer, send, and etc. usually take two objects in the active voice, which is the direct is the thing and the indirect is the person. Take a look at the example given. They offered Tracy some flowers. To change these sentences into the passive voice, it can be formed in two ways. The first one, indirect object as subject, which is the person as a subject, plus verb be, plus past participle, plus direct object, which is the things. It is flowers. So, the sentences will be Tracy was offered some flowers. Number 2. It can be formed in direct object as subject, which is the flowers as a subject, plus verb be, plus past participle, plus to, plus indirect object. The sentences will be some flowers were offered to Tracy. The direct object is flowers and the indirect object is Tracy, which is the person. Let us take a look at next, verbs with two objects. Active voice. They should Wayne the best place for free running. Or they should the best place for free running to Wayne. We want to change these sentences into passive voice. If you notice, we have two objects here, which is the direct and indirect. To change to the passive voice, the first one, Wayne was shown the best place for free running. Or the best place for free running was shown to Wayne. Now, if you look at the passive voice sentences, the first one, Wayne is the indirect, and for the direct is the best place for free running. Number 2, the best place for free running is the direct, and it also can be a subject, and Wayne is indirect and can be as the object. Therefore, that is the verbs with two objects. Next, this is the passive voice with continuous tenses. Alright, we form the continuous tenses in the passive voice with the appropriate form of the verb be plus being plus the past participle of the main verb. For the present continuous, I am being called. Are you being called? They aren't being called. When we change to the past continuous, it will be I was being called. Were you being called? They weren't being called. As you notice, in the present continuous and the past continuous, it used being. Okay, but the verb be was changed. Second, passive voice continuous tenses. Look at down here. My bike is being fixed this week, so I have to walk to school. Number 2, the students were being shown around the museum when the guide realized that someone was missing. Okay, students, don't get confused. In passive voice continuous tenses, it can be in present continuous and past continuous. That is what the example below showed. For the first one, my bike is being fixed this week, so I have to walk to school. That is the present continuous. For example number 2, the students were being shown around the museum when the guide realized that someone was missing. Okay, class. For passive voice in continuous tenses, for the present continuous and past continuous, the formula is just same, which is verb be plus being plus the past participle. But only for present, we use is or are plus being plus past participle. And for the past continuous, we will use was or were plus being plus past participle. Okay, I hope you have clear on that. Before we proceed to the worksheet, let us take a look in this note for your understanding and to have much clear picture on passive voice with changes of tenses. Passive voice in English. There are 3 columns, which is tenses, active voice and passive voice. The first one is present simple. The active voice is I do my homework. But when you change to the passive, it will become my homework is done. Can you see that? The verb is changing, but the verb to be is remain as is because this is present simple. Second, present continuous. I am doing my homework. And change to the passive, it will be my homework is being done. Alright, number 3, past simple. I did my homework. When changed to passive voice, it become my homework was done. And the last one is past continuous. For active voice, I was doing my homework. And change to passive voice, my homework was being done. Alright, class. I just want you to have a clear on the pronouns. Let us take a look on the changes of pronouns in passive voice. Alright, now let's take a look on the change of pronouns from active voice to the passive voice. In active voice, we use I, we, you, he, she, it, and they. But to change to the passive voice, we will use I to me, we to us, you to you, he to him, she to her, it to it, they to them. If you notice, the changes only change at I, we, he, she, and they. But it is a special case for you and it. That is why the pronouns doesn't change at all. And the time has come for worksheet. Let's do this. Activity A. Rewrite the sentences using the passive voice. Start with the words given. Okay, students, now let us do together, but if you want to do by yourself, you may pause the video first. Later on, check your answer with my answer. Question number 1. Graham gave Fred some CDs. Graham is the subject. The verb of the action is give, and the object is some CDs. To change to the passive voice, the object will become the subject, and the subject will become the agent. However, don't forget to change the verb. So, the answer is some CDs were given to Fred by Graham. Questions number 2. Passengers must wear their seatbelts at all times. The verb is wear. To change to the passive voice, the answer will be seatbelts must be worn by passenger at all times. Questions number 3. Somebody took my mobile out of my bag. The verb is took. To change to the passive voice, we will start with my mobile because in active voice, my mobile is the object. So in a passive voice, it will become the subject. Therefore, the answer, my mobile was taken out of my bag. We are not putting by somebody because we doesn't know who did it. Next, number 4. They have built 2 new art galleries since 2005. The verb is built. So in the passive voice, the sentences will be 2 new art galleries have been built since 2005. That's good, class. Now, let us move on to the second last question. They sell helmets and knee pads at this shop. The verb is sell. In the passive voice, the sentences will be helmets and knee pads are sold at this shop. Congratulations. Now, last question. They will deliver my new sofa by next Friday. The verb is deliver. In the passive voice, it will become my new sofa will be delivered by next Friday. Well done, students. You did it. Now, let's move on to the last exercise. Complete the sentences using the passive voice. Questions number 1. They are building a new shopping center in my neighborhood. Alright, so this question is focusing on passive voice continuous tenses, which is present continuous and past continuous. Okay, the answer for number 1, a new shopping center is being built in my neighborhood. Questions number 2. My school is planning a trip to Amsterdam. The verb in these sentences is plan. The answer will be a trip to Amsterdam is being planned by my school. That's good, class. Now, let's move on to questions number 3. The students are organizing a sports event. The verbs in these sentences is organize. So, the answer will be a sports event is being organized by the students. Number 4. 2 men were robbing the bank when the manager arrived. Okay, from this question, we can see that this question is in past continuous. It is because were robbing and arrive. Therefore, the verb is rob. And the answer will be the bank was being robbed by 2 men when the manager arrived. And the final questions. My brother was teaching me a skateboarding trick when Steve called me. The verb is teach. So, the answer will be I was being taught a skateboarding trick by my brother when Steve called me. So, students, I hope you can get the difference between the present continuous and past continuous. The 3 first question, the answer will be in present continuous. It is because the question is present continuous. However, the 2 last question is in past continuous. So, the answer will be in past continuous. If you notice, the changes is only in tenses, which is the verb to be. So, that's all for today's classes. Thank you for joining, and I hope you have learned something new for this week in active and passive voice, and also passive voice in continuous tenses, as well as verbs with 2 objects. So, that's all for today's classes. See you guys next week at the same time, at the same place with different chapter. Bye!